There is a certain act that you can do that can help you achieve your goals a lot easier. I learned this from both a book and a course that I've taken recently called The Science of Well-Being. This act literally takes about 5 minutes minimum, and not only that, you don't really need full silence and being alone in a room. You just need to make sure that you're not being interrupted. This strategy is using imagination, which involves using something called mental contrasting and planning to help you achieve your goals a lot easier. So to roughly explain it, mental contrasting is about visualizing your positive future outcome of a goal that you want to achieve. So for example, if you had a goal of getting a better physique, you would visualize yourself in the future working out and seeing those tangible results. You're seeing that, okay, I'm finally building muscle, and that you're finally making progress towards the dream physique that you wanted. But instead of just staying in that positive area, you switch to a point where you're now thinking about the obstacles that you're going to encounter during your progress towards your goal. So if we go back to that example for like getting a better physique, obstacles like that would be like sticking to your diet to bulk up or lean down, or maybe you just don't want to go to the gym one day. Like that can be also an obstacle. And those two things, the mental contrasting with the positive future outcome and the obstacles that you need to think of, those two things aren't the full thing, and that's where planning comes in. Because if you just think about the positive outcome and the obstacles, it's just information. You didn't really use it and formulate it into something that you can use in reality. Because if you just think about the obstacle that you will need to overcome in the future, when you're actually in that situation with that actual obstacle, you're most likely to fail because you never really formulated a plan to put into action. So those urges or that challenge to overcome that obstacle becomes a lot harder, and you're more likely to fail. And so that's why planning is probably the most important part of this act, because you're thinking about an if-then plan, which is basically, if this obstacle happens, then I will do this to overcome it. And you're kind of like using that plan, and you're visualizing yourself overcoming the obstacle by using the plan that you formulated during this visualization technique. So to help you further understand this, let me give you an actual example with the step-by-step process of doing this visualization act. So first thing that you do, you obviously sit down, set your timer to a minimum 5 minutes. If you're in your room, you can sit down and have that silence, but it doesn't really matter. You can literally do it while commuting. You just make sure that you're not going to be interrupted. After you've situated yourself, you want to first start thinking about, okay, what is the goal that I want to achieve? If you haven't already done this, this is good because you can now start to think about those important goals that are in your life and what is actually important to you. But for those who have already been thinking about their goals, this might be easier and a lot shorter for you. So the example of the goal I want to achieve will be being a better student. And you obviously want to be more specific with the goal. So for me, I want a 96 average in this semester coming. So this is how I measure how good of a student I am. And that's kind of like the outcome that I want for myself. So now we move on to step 2. Step 2, you will now start to think about, okay, what are the habits that I need to do in order to achieve this goal? So that can be like, you can see yourself studying. Obviously you need to study to become a better student. So you're going to visualize yourself studying, having those good study habits, and doing these study techniques that don't waste a lot of time and are actually useful. And then after you figured out some other habits, like maybe it's sleeping or eating healthy, after that you are now visualizing yourself with that future positive outcome. So you're seeing yourself in that situation where you get your report card back and it's a 96 average for that semester, and you can like really like try to experience that moment like it's happening in real life. This will really help you motivate yourself to make more progress towards your goals. So now that we've done that motivational part of that visualization technique, you now want to switch gears and move into the part where you're thinking about the obstacles that you're going to encounter during your journey towards achieving your goal. So an example that I will pick as an obstacle for the goal of becoming a better student, I'm going to use scrolling, because I think it's really relatable to a lot of people, including myself. So you understand that the obstacle is scrolling. You know that it wastes time, it depletes your focus and fractures your attention. Now that you know about the obstacles that you're going to encounter, you now want to start formulating the plan, which is the next step of the visualization technique. You want to start thinking about, okay, how can I overcome this obstacle? So for the example of scrolling, what I would do would look like this. I would first think about, okay, what can I do beforehand before like I get those urges, if you know what I mean. Like before you get those urges, you can do a bunch of things. You can put your phone in the other room to prevent you from even thinking about scrolling. And on top of that, you can have a blocking software that blocks the apps that you scroll on a lot. So after I've done that, I will now start formulating my if-then plan that I will put into action once I get into those situations. So the if-then plan will probably look like this. If I want to scroll or I get the urge to scroll, then I will remind myself that scrolling is just not worth it. You know, you waste so much time, you lose all that attention. There's just so many disadvantages to scrolling. I would remind myself of all the disadvantages. Not only that, but I would also think about how much I would regret scrolling instead of studying for the goal that I want to achieve. So I know this kind of sounds useless, right? Like, oh, you're reminding yourself. What if you forget in that moment? But with this kind of if-then plan and those boundaries with the moving your phone into the other room and having some blocking apps, right? All of that combined together is so much better than just not doing any of this at all. And then on top of that, instead of just thinking about the plan, I'm actually going to put it into action in my visualization. I'm going to now visualize myself in that situation where I want to scroll. I'm going to see myself getting that urge to scroll. And then once I get that urge, I'll now do the plan that I formulated. If I get the urge to scroll, then I'll do the things that I'll need to do to prevent myself from scrolling. And if you really want to get more detailed with the visualization, which will actually help you a lot more, you can then think about where you can visualize yourself feeling that pull towards your phone. You feel that urge towards your phone, but you fight against it anyway. You feel that urge, but you continue to work. And those are basically the 4 steps to the strategy, which will help you achieve your goals a lot easier. I personally use this every single day, and I believe that it's helping me a lot. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, so that maybe you can try it for yourself. And hopefully you see the benefits that I'm gaining as well. And if you want to check out that course that I said in the beginning, I'll put a link for that in the description. Make sure to check it out because I highly recommend it. It helped me so much, and it's really valuable, especially because it's free. But anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something. Please let me know if I can improve on anything, if there's anything that I can add on to my videos, or if there's any kind of video idea that you want me to cover. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.